everything about 2020 in the dust, like Byron Miranda. He's been talking about it all year long, in fact. Well, we have to talk 2020 taxes, though.
Yeah, millions of Americans await their second stimulus checks as well, right? So there's a lot of questions that are surfacing about how this money will be taxed. Joining us now to explain it all, financial expert Lynnette Khalfani Cox. Lynnette, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
So let's get to the big question with those stimulus checks, right? As they come in, will they be taxed?
So this is the good news for everybody, because we did have a lot of people who got the stimulus checks in the spring for the CARES Act. And of course, a lot of folks are waiting for the upcoming stimulus checks. They'll be half of what they were before. But the bottom line is no, those stimulus checks, whether it was the stuff that you got via the CARES Act back in April or so, as well as the $600 checks that people are waiting for right now, those are not taxable. Right. And the reason is they're really refundable tax credits based on taxes you already paid in 2020. And tax credits are not treated under the IRS code as taxable income. So nope, you don't have to worry about Uncle Sam dipping into your pocket with regard to any of those stimulus checks.
Well, that is the good news. Here's the bad news. To unemployment, because I understand that will be taxed. Now, is that both on the state and federal level?
So yes, for both federal purposes and state income tax purposes, whether you live in New Jersey, New York, for example, you do have to pay unemployment taxes now, or taxes on that unemployment compensation. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to be a nasty little surprise for a lot of people, because, of course, the pandemic put millions of people out of work, including a lot of folks who just got unemployment probably for the first time in their careers. And so one of the things you can do if you're getting unemployment right now, even in early 2021 and beyond, is you can have some of your federal taxes taken out. You are allowed to make to have a deduction, essentially, to have 10% withheld so that federal taxes are accounted for. And you do want to do that right now, I would suggest, so that come this time next year, when you're doing your 2021 taxes, you don't have a kind of a nasty little surprise waiting for you on the tax front.
You mentioned unemployment, and many people were forced into unemployment back in March of 2020, right? And that's going to run out. So as it currently stands, they're in a bit of trouble. What is their next task they can do if they can't get a job? What help can you offer in terms of financial help?
Well, the big thing I would say is talk to a CPA or an accountant right now. A lot of times we see the people waiting to the last minute till April 15th, kind of procrastinating about tax issues. This is not the year to do that. You want to make sure that you get in and talk with a specialist so you have a clear understanding of your situation, whether it's because you received, stimulus checks, which again, I tell you don't have to worry about, but certainly if you got unemployment or other changes to your income picture in 2020, you need to know right now what some of your options are. And frankly, there are really good options if you are worried that you're going to owe Uncle Sam. So there's online payment agreements, for example, where if you owe, you can get an extra 4 months to pay. There are installment agreements that let folks who have big tax liabilities, anywhere up to $50,000, to have as long as 6 years to pay off that obligation. Then there's an offer in compromise that's available to folks. And that's for people who are, really kind of cash strapped. But the bottom line is that the IRS will let you wipe out some or portion of your tax liability, and sometimes even half or more of that tax liability, depending on how dire your economic circumstances are. So there are options. My advice is don't panic, but do see a specialist and kind of get a handle on things early this year.
Got it. Let me ask you quickly before we have to go. What about those small businesses that were hurting dramatically during this, right? Many of them applied for the PPP loans, which are not really loans, they were grants. Are you taxed on that?
So no, good news on that front. And I'm a small business owner. I received a modest PPP loan the first time around. Small business owners are eligible for a second draw because of the new legislation, the $900 billion stimulus act that just passed. Bottom line, those funds, the money that you receive to support payroll, it's not taxable. And good news on that is that you can even deduct the expenses that you paid for using PPP loan funds. That wasn't the case initially, but the new law revised that. So that's going to support a lot of small business owners all around the country, in fact.
That's fantastic. All right, Lynnette, thank you so much for sorting that out. That means a lot to small businesses indeed.
Lynnette, I've missed talking to you. Come back, okay?
Absolutely. We'll do.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year to you, too.